All right, people, I need your help. My immediate TBR list has grown way out of control. This is just a small sample of all the books that I'm hoping to read this year. I have maybe 16, 17 books here, but these are not all the books that are calling me from the shelves. This is just a small sample. I need your help. Let me know if you've read any of these, what I should be reading. I have these grouped into few categories. So let's start with the first one, which is kind of hard SF. And on top of that list is The Fall of Hyperion. I, of course, read and loved Hyperion, but I've been putting this one off a little bit only because it can be somewhat divisive. Folks who have read Hyperion don't always read and loved Hyperion, don't always love The Fall of Hyperion. But it's a must read if you want to find out what happens. Hyperion was satisfying, was excellent, was incredible, challenging, but such a great read in itself. But in order to find out what happens in the story, one needs to continue on to The Fall of Hyperion. Have you read it? Let me know your thoughts. In the same vein, I almost said Shadow of a Torturer, which is another one that's not even here that I need to read. Anyway, Speaker for the Dead by Orson Scott Card. Similar to Fall of Hyperion, this is a follow-up to a hugely popular, well-loved Ender's Game. Now, the difference here is you do not need to read this one. Ender's Game is a perfectly self-contained, standalone book. But I'm curious, I want to find out what happens next to Ender as he gets older. So this book, very well liked actually. Some people feel this is a better book than Ender's Game. Which one should I read first? I'm leaning towards Fall of Hyperion. But let me know your thoughts if you've read both of these or either one, or which one would you like me to read next? Would you want to see me read next? Let me know. We're just having fun. We'll see what happens. Player of Games by Ian M. Banks. Now this is kind of similar to this. It's part of a series, part of the Culture series. I have not read any Ian M. Banks books. So Player of Games is thought of as one of the best ones. Maybe Use of Weapons also is mentioned as the top. And I want to start with the best, unless you think there's a different place to start, that this isn't an ideal way, an entry point into the Culture series. Let me know your thoughts on that. Next one, Theodore Sturgeon's More Than Human. Now this is a shorter book. I love to have a shorter book in between longer ones also, and there will be some long ones coming up. So this appeals to me just because of that. It's also an older book, 50s. I believe 1952 is when it was written. So very much a classic. And Theodore Sturgeon, I'm told, excellent writer. The prose is sublime. The story is interesting. So I'm curious about this one. Have you read More Than Human by Theodore Sturgeon? Let me know your thoughts on that as well. I'm repeating myself with asking you for comments. Hope you don't mind because I'm going to continue because I need help. Shards of Earth, Adrian Tchaikovsky. This one has been calling to me. This one, as I pass it on the shelf, this yellow spine has been calling to me like, Bart, read me next. And I've been saying, okay, I will, but gotta wait in line. I recently, not that recently, this was I guess last year, I read Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and it's one of my all-time favorite reads. Such an incredible story. So I already love Tchaikovsky, obviously. He's a great writer, and Children of Time, a great book. Now this, Shards of Earth, is a new series, the Final Architecture series. I'm really interested in reading it. I will definitely read it this year, but should I prioritize this one? Should I, heed the call of the book from the shelf? Let me know if you've read it. Let me know your thoughts on that. Similar to that one, Memory Called Empire, award-winning book by Arkady Martin. This book gives me vibes, a little bit of Ursula K. Le Guin's, from what I know about it, gives me the vibes of maybe Left Hand of Darkness, maybe The Dispossessed, political, an envoy being sent. Have you read it? Let me know if I should read this one before Shards of Earth. Which one would you read first? So these are kind of classics, right? Classic, well, not necessarily classic in the sense that they're old. I mean, the Memory Called Empire is fairly new, but hard science fiction, let's say. Now here are a couple of books that are also hard science fiction, but these are books now I'm grouping as books that I want to reread. And we talked about Ursula K. Le Guin. The Dispossessed. It's been such a long time since I read this book. I want to read it again. Of course, when you're talking about rereads, the urgency isn't as great because it's always nice to add another book, something fresh under your proverbial belt. But I'm curious about this one. It's been more than 20 years, I think, since I've read The Dispossessed. I'm really curious. I read Ursula K. Le Guin's for the first time, Lathe of Heaven, not that long ago, just a few months ago, and I really loved that one. And I loved the writing and the feel of her books. The prose is sublime. Let me know. Have you read The Dispossessed? Should I read it next? Or from the rereads, should I go into Blindside? Now, Blindside, I only read maybe 2 years ago. So maybe 20 for Dispossessed, only 2 for Blindside. But it was such a challenging read for me when I read it the first time. I've been thinking about this book ever since. I didn't love the reading experience, but I loved a lot of the things that were said in the book, things that I was thinking about. And I think this is the type of book that one will greatly benefit from reading again. And because of that, I want to pick it up again. I didn't really enjoy the vampire, I think, on the first read. Maybe reading it again, that part of the book will prove to be a little bit easier to swallow. I just felt it was totally unnecessary to have a vampire on this ship. I don't think it was adding much to the story, but maybe it was. Maybe I'm missing something about the unique consciousness of a vampire within the greater scheme of this story, a first contact story, a story that really challenges your preconceived notions about what it means to be conscious, how important consciousness really is. So yeah, which one would you read if you were me? Dispossessed or Blindside by Peter Watts? Let me know. And here's one that straddles two groupings. Heir to the Empire, Timothy Zahn. This one I read in the 90s. I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I haven't enjoyed too many Star Wars books or movies lately, but this one I remember loving so much. When I saw these re-released, I had to pick them up. So yeah, have you read Heir to the Empire? This would be in the pile of kind of easier, fun SF reads, but also this is going to be a reread for me, so that's why it straddles those two groupings. Yeah, Heir to the Empire. Interesting read for sure. Here's one that's been sitting on my shelf for a while, a book that everyone is talking about, everyone that has been talking about these books for so long. So many people love these books. So many people call the series as their favorite. Red Rising is the first one, of course, in the series. Pierce Brown is the author. Let me know your thoughts. I don't need to talk much about this now, except I will mention that this again maybe straddles a few genres because it is science fiction, but also many people feel that it has a hint of YA to it, which I've read recently with The Scythe. I just did a video with Ania, my daughter. I'll link it down below if you want to check it out. That was a super fun video with my daughter. So yeah, Red Rising, and also maybe a little bit of fantasy in this book. So a little bit of everything. So I'm really curious about this one as well. Let me know if you've read it, and let me know if I should read it sooner rather than later. Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Becky Chambers. I really enjoy Becky Chambers' prose. I like her optimistic outlook on life, on our future. The Robot and Monk series, good stuff, especially the first book. This one, a classic that I have not read, Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Great fun! And like he says, I want to have great fun reading this book. Did you have great fun reading this book? If you did, let me know. It's a Hugo Award-winning book. It's gonna get read. It's just a matter of when. Justin Cronin wrote The Ferryman. This is a recently released book. I don't know much about it, but it's got good reviews. There are some twists here. It's a signed copy, so yeah, it looks good on the shelf. But I don't know. Is this something that I should read soon, or is this something that's gonna be pushed off into the cold, wintry days when maybe the fireplace will crackle, and maybe that's a better time to read The Ferryman. Have you read it? Let me know if you have any thoughts on this book. Now, these are all science fiction books, but one cannot just live on science fiction. It's impossible. In fact, for me, if I'm just reading science fiction, I will get tired. I will get bored a little bit of it. I need to mix genres a little bit. So because of that, I have few books here that I've prepared to tell you about. And we're gonna start, well, my daughter's coming in, so it's probably we're gonna get interrupted here a little bit, but it's okay, it's no problem. Ania, come on in, it's okay. She's sneaking in. Anywho, so Cormac McCarthy, Blood Meridian, an incredible, difficult, tragic, scary, brutal retelling of frontier days, American frontier. Cormac McCarthy, when he was still alive, just a few weeks back, he was by many considered to be the greatest living American author. He is alive no longer, but he leaves a legacy of books that is really long. Books like The Road, No Country for Old Men, All the Pretty Horses, so many incredible stories. The Crossing. And this one is considered one of his more difficult ones. Let me know if you've read this book. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know how difficult a reading experience it was for you. And let's see, Blood Meridian or Augustus? What would you vote for? Augustus is written by John Williams. And earlier this year, I read Stoner by John Williams, and I loved that book so much. It's probably my top 5 all-time books aside from science fiction. Stoner just affected me greatly. It was a slow read. One has to be patient with both Stoner and the reading experience, but it's a book that affected me greatly. And Augustus is a completely different book. Obviously, we're going back over 2,000 years to the times of Julius Caesar, his death, and then rise of Augustus. And this book is one that is written in an epistolary format. So yeah, I'm really curious about this book. I love John Williams's prose, and I know I'm gonna enjoy this book also. Which one would you choose for me? Blood Meridian or Augustus as the first of those books? Let me know in the comments below. House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune is one that I'm definitely hoping to read this year. Again, it's an easier read, I think. A quicker read. I really enjoyed T.J. Klune's In the Lives of Puppets. That was an incredible, what a fun read. I was laughing out loud. I really loved the characters. The story was amazing. And I'm hoping that this book will be just as good. Not a science fiction book. I don't really know if this is a fantasy. I guess fantasy would be the closest. Magical realism, perhaps. Whatever. It doesn't matter if it's a good book, if it's fun, if you've read it. Please let me know if you think I should as well. So I'm looking forward to that one. Now, last but not least on this list of books today is Oathbringer by Mr. Brandon Sanderson. I read his first 2 entries into the Stormlight archive, and Oathbringer is beckoning from the shelf. This is a huge book, well over 1,200 pages. So it's like reading maybe 5 classic science fiction books in one. This is gonna be a long one. I've been putting it up, but I really loved the first 2 books. The Way of Kings was incredible. The Words of Radiance did not disappoint, and I'm hoping Oathbringer will continue the trend. So I'm definitely hoping to read it sometime this year. If you're a fantasy fan, if you've read this one, let me know if I should push it to the forefront. I definitely could. As I'm holding this book up, I'm getting chills almost. It's interesting. So yeah, so these are some of the books, because there are many more on the shelves that I want to read, but these are some of the books that are on my immediate TBR. So yeah, again, thank you for watching. Leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on these books. Help me out here because I am a little bit lost.